Day 755, being Christopher Cruz, just got off my second purpose call, my second purpose assessment call. That thing is so good. That thing is so good. So I got on the call with this lady, and so she actually saw me speak years ago, like at this online event that I did, the same one that Araceli saw me speak at and got me my group coaching and all this kind of stuff. And I got into the top 10. And so she saw me speak, and she's been following me since then. She's like this older lady, she's like 60 or 59. And she reached out to me like a year and a half ago because she wanted some swag. She wanted some Lion stuff. And I've never really talked to her before, but I mailed her that stuff, and she got some for her, some from her husband, and hadn't heard from her. And then I did a post, and she said, you know, I want to get some clarity. And so we scheduled this call, and we get on there. And she's like telling me, like, I've been, you know, following you and your stuff, and I love your videos and all this stuff. And you know, you sent that stuff to me and my husband, and you know, we put on our bracelets. And because she sent me a picture of her What Would My Lion Do bracelet and the lion on her keychain. And I'm like, wow, I sent that to her like a year and a half ago. That's crazy. And then she told me her husband died a year and a half ago. And she said something that just like touched me. She said, I buried him with that bracelet on, because when we put those on, we made a commitment to each other that we were going to be lions and be the greatest version of ourselves together. And I buried him with that on, and I still have mine on. I haven't taken it off. And I was like, that's intense. To bury someone with something like that, you got to have some belief, some conviction, something. And so she said that, and then, you know, we're having our conversation. Then she talks about, you know, she saw me speak at that event. She's like, you know what, Chris, I'll tell you. She's like this Southern woman. And she's like, you should have won that thing. Like, that was rigged. She said, I'll tell you the truth. I was a follower of the guy running it, who's my speaking coach, Pete. And she said, after I saw that you didn't win, I stopped following him, and I never did another thing with him because it was rigged. And I was like, oh my God, I thought the same thing. Like, I thought the same thing. Mine was so freaking good. I got the scores back from all the judges, and I had like an average 9 out of 10, and I didn't even get in the top 3. And I thought it had to have been rigged because, you know, it was that guy, because he just went through their 1-year coaching program. So how good, at the same program that they're selling at this event right now. So how perfect and flawless would it be if that guy won, so they could sell more of their programs. Say, hey, look, he's been going through our program for the last year, and look, he won. And so I was like, how did I not even me not making top 3? That's ridiculous. Seriously ridiculous. Me not winning, I'm like 80% sure I should have won. 90% sure. But top 3, 100%. And that like made me question too. And I was like, man, is that sketchy? I was just like, and so we were both talking about it. I've never met anyone who believed the same thing, but I've talked to so many people. I voted for you. How did you not win? Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so that was just interesting. And so we're going through this, and, you know, I asked her, I was like, so where are you at with your purpose? And she's like, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I was like, okay, great. And I was like, what does it feel like for you to be in that place and not have that clarity and not know what you're doing? She's like, it's miserable. It's miserable. So, so we're having this conversation. I'm going through, and we fill out her assessment. She scores a 16 out of 60. And I show it to her, and I'm like, here's the source of your misery. This is it. You're lost. You have no idea. And she's like, I know. I need your help. And so I go over the coaching program, and I'm talking to her about it, and it's so good. And I'm like, you know, it's interesting that you are, we're doing a call right now, because last night God gave me some inspiration, or an idea. He put an idea in my head that maybe I'm charging too much. You know, I was just on the 1st, which is Monday, I was going to bump the price up from 7,000 to 10,000. And then I had this thought of, maybe I shouldn't be bumping it up. I should be bumping it down to make it more accessible to more people. And I was like, so now it's 2,500. And I was like, and all you need is $1,000 deposit. And she's like, what? Like, oh my God, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, trust me, I know it's freaking crazy, because if you're a coach and you're a good coach, you charge more for what you do, and more and more and more, not less. That doesn't even make sense. And so I was like, yeah. And she's like, Chris, I want to do this, but I've got $6 in my bank account. She got hurt a couple months ago and hasn't been working. And she's like, but I need to do this. I have to do this. I meant to work with you. Like, God lined this up. And I'm like, okay, great. So here's the deal. It's not about resources. It's about resourcefulness. So what I mean by that is, if I told you that if you came up with $1,000 in the next 24 hours, I'd give you a check for $10 million. Would you do it? She's like, heck yeah. I'm like, okay, so it's about being resourceful. It's not about resources. You can find $1,000. You can borrow it. You can open up a line of credit. You have a house full of stuff you could sell. You could do this. You could do that. And she's like, oh. And I'm like, this is what coaches say. This is what my coaches would tell me. Like, hey, it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. And it would force me to think outside the box of how can I get it? Not how could I not do it, but how could I find it? And in finding it, I would have a personal breakthrough. And so this is breakthrough for you. And she's like, you're right. Okay, I can figure this out, because I have to do this coaching with you. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, so when does it start? Like, does it start on Monday? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, when does all the coaching start? And I say, oh, this is one-on-one. She thought it was group coaching. I was like, no, it's $2,500 for one-on-one. For one-on-one. Before I forget this, in the purpose assessment, I showed her where it is. And I said, in 6 weeks, if we do the coaching program, you will go from 12 out of 60 to 60 out of 60. Every single one of these sections is going to be a 10. You will have absolute clarity. And that's really powerful. I need to remember that. And that's a bold promise. And it's like effortless. Like, it's just what I'm doing. Like, everyone gets total clarity every single time. So that's a bold promise to be able to say, you're going to go from 16 to 60 out of 60. Like, it's just, you will have a 10 out of 10 of every one of these single sections. You'll have total clarity, without a doubt. And I could say that with certainty, not even confidence, certainty. So, but anyway, she was like, oh, it's going to be, that's for one-on-one? And she's like, okay, I got this figured out. What time is it? And she looks at her clock. She's like, it's too late. She's going to be sleeping. She's like, I have a friend. I know she will give me the money. She's old school though. She's going to mail me a check. Is that okay? Like, can you wait for me to get the check in the mail and deposit it and then transfer it to you? Because she doesn't use Zelle or anything like that. She's old school. Like, this woman's in South Carolina. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, but you know, that's cool. You could do that, but also keep thinking outside the box. Maybe there's a different way that you can find it and figure it out. And she's just so excited, and her mind is opening up. And I'm like, I know a lot of coaches use this as a sales tactic, you know, but it's actually a really powerful exercise, because I could see her transforming. And I told her, I was like, here's the deal. Like, I want you to be freaking hungry. It's only $1,000. You could find $1,000. You could figure it out. As I struggled to do that too, but hey, I figured it the frick out. But I'm like, you can figure it out. Like, this is nothing. And she's like, you're right, because she's been super successful before. And so she's like, all right, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna be messaging you. And she will, without a doubt. She's gonna call her friend in the morning and have her mail her a check. And it's like, I've had people where they're like, yeah, you know, let me think about it. And they're full of shit. This woman is just like, she's like, Chris, let me be honest with you. I'm almost 60 years old. I don't have time for this crap. I need to figure this out, because I don't know how much longer I have to live. And her husband just passed away, so she sees that. And she's like, I want my kids to be proud of me. I want them to be able to say like, hey, my mom did this, or here's my mom and she does this. And, you know, I want to leave a legacy. So I don't have time to waste anymore. Like, I need to figure this out, Chris. And I'm like, okay, great. Perfect. Well, as soon as you get the deposit, we'll start the coaching. And in 6 weeks from now, you'll be a completely different person. You'll have massive clarity on your purpose, and you'll have a new future in front of you. So just make it happen. She's like, okay, I'll be messaging you tomorrow. So I might actually message her and just schedule our first call anyway. I felt really called to do that at the end of the call, but I didn't do it. I just jumped off. But I don't know. I just know she's gonna do it. It's like, not because of anything other than the pain for her is so real. And she sees that I have the solution to her problem. I have the solution to her pain. And she's like, you have it. You have exactly what I need. So I'm gonna get the money. We're gonna make it happen. And then I told her, well, if you get the full amount, I'll give you a month of coaching for free. Just like I do in all the programs. If you pay in advance, if you pay everything up front, you get 4 weeks of coaching for free. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous. That's why I'm like, God, are you serious? And she said, well, Chris, listen to me. Like, God doesn't make mistakes. He is going to bless you beyond belief. You know, he's calling you to do this and you're doing it. And I promise you, he's going to bring so much value into your life. He's going to do something so big in your life for you doing this, because you're allowing people to actually work with you. And she said, since the day I saw you speak, she was like, I knew I needed to work with you. And I didn't know how or when it was going to line up, but I just knew I had to. And now here we are. And I know I have to do this with you. But she just gave me this like really good reinforcement that like God gave me this nudge to drop the prices rather than raise them. And I'm being obedient. A big part of that obedience is I desperately need to make money right now. So that's a big part of the obedience. But I could also see that it's not working charging that much. It's just so much to ask from people right now, you know? 75% of people in the US have less than $1,000 in their bank account. And so why am I trying to, like, I'm trying to value my time and do all this stuff that everyone talks about, and the gurus and the salespeople and all of that stuff. But as we are in this recession and inflation and all this other stuff, and, you know, people are scared the whole financial system is going to collapse and everything. It's like, instead of charging more and people have to end up not working with me, what if I charged less so they had an opportunity to work with me and added so much value that no matter what recession hits or this hits or depression or financial collapse or whatever, that they are like, hey, I'll sacrifice Netflix, I'll sacrifice this, I'll sacrifice that, but I will not sacrifice my coaching with Chris. And this is when I think about Warriors of God, the group, the membership. You know, I was thinking about doing it $500 a month. And then what happens if there's a financial collapse? People need that $500. That's a car payment and insurance. So I'm trying to think into the future, like, you know, I could lose 80% of the people if something like that happens. Or I was thinking, I want to be one of these people who's thriving if there's a financial collapse, where, you know, all these other coaches who have all these programs, I gotta turn this brightness down. It's hurting my eyes. So much better. Why didn't I do that before? But I want to be a coach where it's like, and I'm doing this stuff, and I have a brand where I have this membership, and it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, other people are worried. They're losing clients. They're losing members because they're charging this much and that much, of people cutting costs. And mine's growing because it's $99 a month, and you get to be on the 4 group calls every month, and you get to meet people and interact and get inspiration and learn, and I coach people and all that stuff. And it's like, what if I actually grow because people, they're unwilling to lose the feeling that they're getting, the community, the connection, the inspiration, the motivation, the passion. And they're like, I'm not touching that $99. That is going to Warriors of God because I get too much value out of this. It doesn't matter if I have to get rid of Netflix or not. I'm not touching that coaching. And it's so much easier for someone to say that if they're paying $100 versus $500, because $500 is serious. $100 anyone can come up with. So I'm thinking, like, trying to think into the future and plan ahead strategically. Like, I'd rather have, you know, 1,000 people paying $100 than 100 people paying $500. Like, I want to build a tribe of people. Like, I don't want just 5 clients paying a lot of money. I want a lot of people paying a little bit of money. Well, I want a lot of people paying a lot of money, obviously, but you know what I mean. And so I'm just like trying to think strategically, like, how do I thrive if everything crashes? Well, add a ton of value that they're unwilling to lose for a manageable amount of money where it's not even a question for them. It's like, no, of course not. I'm not going to cancel Warriors of God. That's crazy. It's 99 bucks and I get so much freaking value. But if I have 1,000 people doing that at 99 bucks, that's $100,000 a month that I have coming in from doing 4 group calls a month, 1 call a week. So it's like that freaking adds up. And while all these other coaches and programs are charging thousands and tens, like I have seen coaches that start just charging a ton of money for programs. They're just charging the money differently. They're letting them split it out over 12 months. But these coaches are charging more and more and more for their programs, and they're creating these payment programs. And I'm just like, shit's getting so expensive. It's crazy. Like, it is crazy how much they're charging for this stuff. And they're making it look like it's not that much. It's like, hey, here's a $12,000 program, but it's only $995 a month for the next 12 months. So it's 995 bucks. Not 12,000, but they got them locked in for 12,000. I'm just like, man. But what's going to happen if the economy tanks? How are they going to sell their $12,000 packages? And those $995 payments that people are making, how are they going to make those? So how many clients are they going to lose? How many people in their tribe are they going to lose because of that? And so I'm just like trying to think a little differently, which is my number 2 value, creativity, which is think differently, think outside the box. So I'm trying to think differently, just like I did with this. It's like everyone would say raise your prices, and I'm thinking differently, like, well, no, what if I lower them and I make it more accessible? Like, I just got a client today, and I'll get another client from her, and I'm gonna have 2 more people do these calls. And so I'm like, well, shoot, if that's the case, that's $10,000 in clients. Well, $10,000 in clients is a lot better than $0 in clients because I priced it too high. So, and obviously my prices will go up in the future. Maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, maybe 6 months, who knows? But as of right now, that's exciting to me. It gives me hope. It's just like, okay, the first client today, there's no way she would have done 7,000. Not a chance. There's no way she would have deposited 3,500 bucks. She probably doesn't even have that. There's no way she would have committed. There's no way. So I could have missed out on $5,000 in clients by overpricing. And I think now, like, how much have I missed out on by overpricing? I've done a lot of these calls, and they all needed it, but 10% of them signed up for it. So it's like, there's probably 15, at least 15, probably closer to 20 people over the last 6 months that I've done calls with that didn't sign up, where if they would have, they probably would have if it was a lot cheaper, if it was 2,500 bucks. So I think about that. So what's $2,500 times 20? 40, $2,500 times 20. That's $50,000. $50,000 that I could have just missed out on because I listened to the gurus and charged more and knew my worth and your hourly rate and blah, blah, blah. And you wonder why so many freaking coaches are broke. It's like 75 or 80% of coaches don't make enough money to do it full time. But we're listening to the gurus. The gurus can charge $12,000. They're the gurus. So, yeah, just super interesting. So I'm about to get in my car, drive to the ATM, take out $1,000 from my roommate. Yeah, really, really excited. And I'm just, honestly, I'm so proud of myself. Like, this last week was scary. Like, scary. Like, what the heck am I gonna do? I mean, if you've been seeing these videos, you've seen I've been scared out of my mind. But I did something I haven't done in a while, and I worked my freaking butt off to try to reach out to people, to posting, to reaching out in groups, to writing my story, to doing lives, to doing all this stuff. And had I not done that, I would not have had these 2 calls scheduled. And I'd be going into Monday morning yeah. So I'm very proud of myself. I'm grateful that God moved in their hearts. I'm grateful that God moved in me more than anything. He gave me the courage to say the things I needed to say to wake these people up. So, and I'm just so grateful for this assessment. It's just so brilliant. It's so freaking good. That's the thing I need to be marketing out there. That's the freaking massive lead generator. That thing is amazing. So, yeah. But the amount of growth that I've had to go through these last 2 or 3 weeks to get to where I am right now is just crazy. Like, I feel such a shift. It might not look like there's a shift outwardly yet. But the shift I can see with my business and my brand and what I'm creating and the frameworks and everything is so significant. And right now, the confidence, the certainty is at like an all-time high. It's just like, I'm so certain that this is so powerful. And the crazy thing, wow, that just hit me. I could not be so certain and so confident selling this if it wasn't the price that it's at. If it was $7,000, there's this little bit of like, dang, that's a lot. But I also feel like it's, compared to the value, it's nothing, right? But when I do 2,500 and I talk to them, I'm like, it's literally stupid. Like, I literally say that. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. Okay, this is freaking ridiculous. And I'm so certain, like, you're literally crazy if you don't do this. It's an irresistible, the marketing gurus talk about an irresistible offer. This is a freaking irresistible offer. Like, you're literally stupid if you don't do this. You're crazy. You're out of your mind if you don't do this. This deal is so ridiculously good. And then I show them, like, they get their own printed out purpose puzzle framed, you know, like all this stuff. And it's just like, this is so good. But it gives me this fire and this boldness to be like, hello, wake up. Like, this is nothing. Like, go find a freaking $1,000 and make it happen. This is ridiculous, okay? And it's just like, literally, that's exactly how I say it and how I talk about it. And they're just like, yeah, you're right, dang, okay. So yeah, that's awesome. And I'm gonna do my first call tomorrow with the client that just paid $900 today. And when I'm on that call, I'm gonna tell her, like, hey, we didn't even talk about this, but if you pay in full, you get 4 sessions for free. So I just offered that to someone yesterday. I forgot to offer it to you. So if you want to do that right now, we could do PayPal. You could transfer the other $1,300. And yeah, we're good to go. And so if she does that, boom, there's rent. And then this other lady, she'll have $1,000, or no, she'll have the full 2,500. She said she's gonna ask her friend to mail her a check for the full amount because she wants the extra calls. So yeah, we're rocking and rolling. And the amazing thing is it's only gonna be 6 weeks of calls, not freaking 4 months of calls. My current clients are getting so much value, it is ridiculous. Now, yes, they paid $7,000, but the amount of value they're getting is crazy. They're gonna all end up with 15 or 20 one-on-one coaching calls. Like, that's crazy. So I don't feel like they're getting a bad deal because these people are paying $2,500, because they're gonna get a third of the calls that they got, and it's a third of the price. So yeah, that works out. All right, I gotta go eat something. Have I eaten today? No, I just had some bread this morning. Yeah, I need to eat something. All right, I'm done.